shade, this ain't no flex. Just make sure you tune to the RPX. Stay dropping jewels all on the airways. Keep sitting hundred like every single day. This ain't no shade, this ain't no flex. Just make sure you tune to the RPX. Stay dropping jewels all on the airways. Keep sitting hundred like every single day. RPX. Yeah, just the RPX where you can sit back and catch a vibe at. But your mind gotta be open like a surgeon with a scalpel. Mixed with the tips that can help with the mental, also the spiritual, and even the physical. The way she break it down, you don't need a visual. Always keep it fair and also critical. Everything is clear, ain't no need for subliminals. Growth is essential, the love is not rental. You might be perplexed, but it's so simple. If you wanna know how you can interact, just hit the IG or the Glock or where it at. So come get involved, it don't even cost. Just hit the DM if you need to talk. So all my good people out there, stay blessed and make sure you tune in to the RPX. This ain't no shade, this ain't no flex. Just make sure you tune to the RPX. Stay dropping jewels all on the airways. Keep sitting hundred like every single day. This ain't no shade, this ain't no flex. Just make sure you tune to the RPX. Stay dropping jewels all on the airways. Keep sitting hundred like every single day. RPX.
Turn me on. There we go. We are here at Glockaware for another episode of the X Radio. Of course, shout out to Glockaware for hosting us every Thursday night at 6 p.m. Man, we are live on YouTube, so go ahead to YouTube and I'm sorry, I'm distracted by my OG over here. You don't want to sit over here with me? Is this one too high? Is this one too low and this one's too high? I want you to be on the camera. No, this way. Turn around. Look at us. Right. I want you to be over here if that's comfortable for you. So, yeah, we are live, as I said. Here at Glockaware, where you can find us Thursdays, 6 p.m. And we are here today talking about harmonic resonance. And if you don't know what that is, the bottom line is when two things vibe on the same frequency, in layman's terms. And I was just saying, man, like, you're the only person I still talk to in this area that has known me since I was like 18 years old.
Yes.
So I take so much, I think that's so cool that, we still have this relationship 20 something years later. Yeah, go ahead and just make that good for you.
Okay, Rose.
There's Rusty. Woo, Rusty.
I'm here.
He's here in the flesh. You know what? You COVID sat you down for a little bit, so it's good to see you. It's really good to see you.
Oh, absolutely. I was like, what? Where am I?
Yeah, especially I know Rusty from just being a hardworking person in the music industry and would do anything, host, MC, rap, studio work. Like, you name it, writing, producing, blah, 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 all that kind of stuff. So it's for you to go, over the years, of course, you've cut down on some stuff, but still, you're still active. And
oh, yeah.
So that really, you stopped quite a few things when COVID came about.
Yeah, a lot of live entertainment
venues.
I really pulled back to nothing.
Right.
Absolutely. And then productions, which I was doing along with my friend Terry here, we cut back on that, stopped that. Mm-hmm. So we couldn't do anything. Well, we couldn't do anything.
Couldn't do anything. Right. So here we are. Stuff's still going on. But regardless, we are here. People are getting out. Rusty's with us today. And we had this conversation about, the idea of this show. Mm-hmm. And I was hoping Mama Yoga would be able to join us today, but she isn't able to. So that's cool.
Okay.
It's cool. We got this.
Okay.
You two are like you know, you and Mama Yoga are like my two favorite OGs in the game of life, because you're like triple OG, got the cosmic knowledge plus the life experience and level-headedness, and like then you got the cool factor because you just keep it, you know, G. So
Oh my! How can I live up to this hype?
you are all the hype, my man. You are. It's real. It's real. Like, excuse me. Like, folks should have an OG like you. That's what this city is missing. You know, somebody will give them the game real and still can relate to the folks because you lived that life at one time. There's elements you can relate to, and you know, you're not naive to the world, so it's just you got it in there, man. So I appreciate it every time we sit down and have a conversation.
I try to bring it, you know, as much as I can from life experiences.
Yeah. Different
Different people everywhere around the world. And I like people.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes. I like people.
You know, they got to be likable. Not everyone's likable, you know.
I get along with them too.
Yeah. Yeah, you do your best. You put on your smile. I know.
Yeah.
So what do we have to say about harmonic resonance?
Oh, harmonic resonance. That's deep. That's really deep.
That's what I said. We could even have multiple shows with that
Absolutely,
situation.
because it's so varied and so wide, vast, the information on it. And, of course, our government friends have been about this for a long, long time in the sciences. And U.S. Navy, if I can say so.
Yeah, sure. Sonar, huh?
So that, NASA. There's so much you can look online and find out. When you say harmonic resonance, stuff pops up about all the different configurations, all the different research on that level, how it affects everything, including your health. You know, a lot of people don't realize.
Right.
Whether it's overhead wires or not. Just things humming. A fan, depending on what cycles it's on. If it's 19 cycles per second, it could be 10 cycles per second. For human beings, it can range, you know, without getting too crazy, it can range for a lot of things for the average human being. When you're standing up, you're usually vibing or resonating somewhere in the range of 5 cycles. Up higher than that, 60 cycles. That's more healthier, it's more vibe, you know, it's more up, you know.
Upbeat.
Cycle, that's hertz.
Got it.
You know, 60 cycles, things like that. And depending on your health, and when you're under stress, it can be very low or very high. If you get down below 20, that's infrasonic. Below 20. 20 hertz. That's infrasonic. That's usually like way down in there.
Like depression type?
Yeah, if you saw it on an oscilloscope, it'd be much slower.
He's using all these $50 words, Rusty. Like
$50. I got them at the dollar store.
Rose.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to try to say something real quick for the audience here.
just bring the mic a little closer.
Got it. Okay. Now, the essence of what Rusty's talking about is what is the basis of the physics of sound. Okay.
These are both musicians, like professional musicians. So they're talking all these terminologies. Can you?
That's what I'm trying to simplify.
Dumb it down for me.
That's what I want to do.
I like both, but I need to understand.
No, I know. It's
right.
really difficult for the average person to understand what a lot of this is, so I'm going to try to break it down really quick.
All right,
okay?
let's go.
When we talk about frequencies,
Yep.
what we mean is this. All sound is air being pushed forward and back. Every sound that happens to be pushed comes back. Okay, when people hear somebody driving down the street and they got those like 1,000-watt amplifiers for the bass in their car, and you hear it 6 blocks away,
Yeah.
that's because it takes 64 feet for one bass sound to expand and come back. Okay, so when you hit that one note, it's going to take 64 feet to develop.
Okay, so
Whoa! Let me continue because it's all one.
Go
thing.
ahead.
Okay, now all sound.
talk.
All sound is air being pushed.
got it.
The lower the sound, the slower the push. Okay, that's why when an explosion goes off, you don't have to be hit with a shell, but you could die from the shock wave because the shock wave is so low. It takes the harmonic vibration of your body and destroys it.
Right.
Higher sounds have shorter frequencies. So the way to look at it is what you did with your hand. Low sounds look like that. High sounds look like that.
They're fast.
You got
little
it.
lines.
You got it. Now, the only other thing to understand about the whole thing is this, and this is where it contains the body. Okay. As Rusty is explaining in terms of stress, most people hear the term decibel, and they don't really know what it is. They think it's an actual measurement, but it is not.
It's not.
The easiest way to explain it is this. If you take an air tank and it's empty, right, you can fill that thing up with air.
Right.
And you keep putting
Like
air,
a tire.
Yep, and you keep putting air into it and air into it until something will say it's full. Well, it's full because you compress the air so much. That's what a decibel is. It's compressing sound. We actually call it sound pressure level.
Oh, that makes sense.
So now what you want to talk about when you're talking about all of this is what the average person should know, okay? Low
Listen
sounds,
up, folks.
Low sounds and low vibrations are very large waves.
Okay.
Very high sounds are very small waves, okay? The idea of the pressure inside your body or anything that you could be contained with a sound in an enclosed area is the air being compressed into that area. That's what loudness is. That's why when they tell you this is too loud in a room, that's what they mean. That is compressed the air so much in the room that it's pushing it out. And therefore, you have a high, quote-unquote, decibel rate, which can destroy your hearing and actually kill you if it's too high. You see what I mean? That's what we're really talking about here. It's air being pushed.
So,
Yep.
kind of like Hiroshima, but minus the radiation.
Yes, exactly.
Got it.
You know, Rose.
Exactly. That's a great example. Without
Yeah.
the radiation, yes. Now, when that explosion happened, there were people who died from the explosion who were not
At the site of impact.
right or hit by any kind of like debris from the bomb.
Because that itself was pushing.
Exactly. Got
Yep.
it.
That's pretty heavy.
So I brought along Mr. Spock here. And so
There we go.
So we refer to him.
Okay, I got it.
Okay.
Next.
Now, so as he was talking about, as it relates to the body, about your health, frequency, vibrations, sometimes you don't even feel them,
Yeah,
but they're there.
right.
You know,
Because we're made of energy.
they're made of energy that, you know, what everybody's talking about. It seems to be the case more and more and more.
I notice as I've gotten older, and I don't know if it's because I've just been more aware, but I feel as though the usage of the term vibes has grown.
It's grown from its elemental stage, more or less back in the day.
Right.
Just a common term, just to say, your vibes, my vibes.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe I just have better, deeper understanding of that term now, you know?
But people who have been involved in radiology,
Yeah.
all those kind of people like that, electromagnetic physics, the whole works and studying, going back to Maxwell, people like that. They've been knowing about these things, but they've been researching about it. Tesla, all those kind of people. And they know about energy, frequency, vibration. That's pretty much it. It's a matter of measuring it from our little brains, coming together with other little brains, and working these things out, because it affects us all, as you can see. A lot of people, when they're condensed in various types of stressful environments, that's a vibe, a certain kind of vibe happening there. It's going all through their bodies. They're stressed out in their brains. A lot of kids in the hood. They don't have to be in the hood. They can live upscale. Depends on what's going on in their environment. You know, with their families, you know, their parents or whatever it is. And the stress can be crazy, even more so now with social media. And that's sending messages to your brain. It can't handle it. It's like an overload. Computers or wherever it is.
Oversensory.
It's just dominating everything. You can't think clearly. You can't do any of that because the frontal cortex is like out of whack. It's not developed. It can't develop.
And it's receiving too many signals.
Too many signals going through the amygdala part of your brain, which is more or less like, that's an emotional part. It's part of the limbic system in the brain.
Oh my gosh.
When that's all off, it's sort of like all
How'd you get so smart, oh man?
I get smart. I got smacked around a lot. So
A lot of this is funny, Rose, because a lot of this is sort of like a logic that all is connected.
it's all connected.
It's all connected.
Yeah.
That's why when like even when I was explaining like the basic physics of sound, right? that's all also involving everything you're talking about. Because again, what Russ is explaining when he's talking about everything is that it's all connected. This matters to that. What, like as they say, you are what you eat. Well, that just as well matters.
Yeah.
And that has a frequency and a vibration too.
And that
Of
has
itself,
a frequency and
right.
vibration, because when you eat something good, right, the vibrations that go through your body will say good, healthy. But what happens when you eat something bad? You get a stomach ache. What do you think that stomach ache is? It's a vibration telling you
You ate
did
something bad.
wrong.
Yeah, it gets to be inflammatory. And if you eat dead things,
Right.
dead is dead.
Plus, you got the karmic thing going on if you're into that, you know?
Yeah, well, karmic thing could be it's like a recycling of energy. And there's something that some physicists call energy transfer.
Right.
In other words, within molecules, various molecules of your body, especially the molecules that go into your cells, like ATP molecules, adenosine triphosphates. Those kind of molecules store and carry energy for each of your cells, right? If those molecules, for some reason or other, from the organ that they're occupying, be your heart, kidneys, lungs, pancreas, bladder, no matter what, your brain, they're getting inflamed from toxic environment, be it diet, chemicals, stress upon stress upon stress, people crowded together, everybody's trying to get the same thing, and they can't. More stress, you're trying to make it, trying to be successful. It could be happening to anybody, whether you're poor, middle class, rich, whatever. You're overloading yourself with all of that. You're toxifying your body. Now, the bacteria microbiome, which is a whole other big subject matter, it's only recently come to light how important the microbiome is in your gut, and how microbiome also affects your serotonin levels
Right.
and melatonin levels. They kick out chemicals. And like your adrenals, which are right above your kidneys, they handle that load, adrenaline and all that sort of thing. Right. So when you inflame your body with toxic chemicals or electromagnetic pollution, you be careful with some things, you know. Whether cell phones or not, I know the research says most phones are not dangerous holding up to your ear. But they also say just to be safe,
Right.
don't put it next to your head.
Right.
But these things, with all the confluence of all these pressures on everybody, they send out this resonance, and your body's trying to adjust, your brain's trying to adjust, and it can't adjust. Your microbiome, all the bacteria, viruses, fungi, all these things within you and on you, they vibrate too. You know, and when they get toxic, because of all this poison and toxins you put in your system, they ramp it up. They outnumber the good bacteria. Because most of your body's genes are made up of bacteria, microbiomes. The human part is less than that. You think we're human. You're mostly bacteria and viruses.
Right.
You know,
Right.
as far as genes go, the genes. But
Right. You take a slice off my arm and they put it under a microscope. That's what they're gonna, you know.
that's what they're going to
That's
do.
what they're gonna see.
That's what they're going to see. And think about humans with that kind of thing going on. Our brain is the most weird thing we have.
Right.
The brain, the human brain.
Multi-complex.
It's multi-complex. It's bigger. You have a neocortex, which is bigger than most other animals. You know, except maybe for dolphins, maybe like that. But you have a physiology, hands, opposable thumbs. You can make things. And we're so smart with technology, but we're so dumb with emotions.
Tell 'em.
You know, like somebody said, like technology is a useful servant, but a very bad master. You know, so we can't let technology rule us.
Right.
We have to rule the robots.
Right. Right.
Like on Starship Enterprise, they can't let the computer run everything. Captain Kirk got to be somewhere, and, you know, shut the hell up. You know,
Kirk, come on.
get it fixed, Scotty, or whatever it is. You know, But-
Right.
and going back to your gut thing again, because that affects your brain, your thinking processes, all that. You get leaky gut.
Right.
You heard of that before.
Yep. They advertise on TV.
The bacteria goes down into your small intestines, inflames it, and if you put food in there that's rotting inside your intestines, a lot of food will rot there if it stays there long enough. If you got constipation and all that kind of stuff.
Right. You're not regular.
Oh, it turns septic.
Well, here's the concept of meat, right? And you guys are gonna hate me because every time I do this kind of stuff, y'all hate me.
Okay.
But if you leave a piece of meat out,
Right.
what happens to it?
It rots.
It rots. The temperature decomposes the muscle and all that stuff.
Right, absolutely.
And so what do you think it's doing when it's inside your body?
Same thing. You have
My point exactly.
a decaying
Carcass in your stomach.
in your stomach, you know, and
They're going to say, I'm not going to eat that for the next 3 weeks now.
no matter how much barbecue sauce you put on it.
Honestly, I don't even look at chicken right anymore. Like, I used to eat it every once in a
Yeah.
while if it's chopped up in a
Right.
chicken cheesesteak, sure. But just to eat a piece of chicken, I'm really not a fan because just it looks, you know?
It looks.
Yeah.
It took me a while to get around this. Like 20 years ago,
Right.
I started changing up my diet.
Yeah, we used to share some vegetarian recipes and stuff.
Yes. And so I said, wait a minute, I got to rethink this thing, you know. I've been on the road for so many years eating junk,
Yeah.
like most of us do. Right, Terry?
Yes. Yes.
Eating
Yeah.
junk when we think it's good. You know?
I mean, but that's part of it. You want to travel. You're traveling. You want
travel.
to try different things. I mean, it's the part of it's the experience.
The problem when you're traveling is usually there's very little time to like actually
Make
do
a
any-
good decision.
Yes, because we get
Well,
stupid.
Yeah.
There's very little time to make a lot of good decisions. Let's
Yeah.
put it that way.
Yeah.
But seriously, what happens is we don't have any time anywhere to prepare anything proper.
Yeah.
So
It's all on the go.
Yeah, and your choice of where you're going to go is
Poor.
sometimes pretty limited because sometimes you don't have a choice.
McDonald's.
Sometimes it's sort of like this. Sometimes really, you do a show, you get back on the bus, and you got to travel all night.
Yeah.
Right.
Where you going to stop? Stop at some little diner, or somebody goes in and picks up some hamburgers or some hot dogs
If
or
you're
something, and you eat
If you're
garbage.
lucky.
Right.
And you eat garbage.
Yep.
And then you try to go to sleep, and then you wake
Do
up
the
and you're
same
in some
thing
other
next day.
town, and there you go again.
Well, plus the fact it's in the culture.
Right. Of
all
course.
over the world.
Yes.
No matter what. People are going to, they grow up with it, you know.
Right.
And then you have corporations that are running it now. You know, food.
Franchised everywhere.
Yeah, you know, the food producers and whatnot, and they have their friends in politics and what have you. They hold on to these places and keep feeding you that and sell you every day. Sell you sugar. Sugar's in everything. Eat more sugar. And more sugar. Things you wouldn't realize there's sugar in it, but there's sugar in it.
Yeah. Read the labels.
But your brain reads it,
Yeah. Yeah.
and once it gets turned on to what's called excitotoxins,
Now it's a drug.
it's hit it. You might take a needle and put it up your arm.
Yeah.
Wait a minute,
Yeah.
wait. One warning to the public, though, okay? As bad as sugar is for you,
Right.
and you look at the label, and almost everything will say sugar, there's one thing that's worse. High fructose
Corn
corn,
syrup.
syrup.
Oh yeah. Well, your brain reads it the same. It gets
Yeah, that's
excited
crack.
by it. Those neurons in there, and your glial cells, which is part of the brain that cleans out a lot of toxins in your brain, they get overloaded. They can't handle
Get clogged up, really.
it. So that shuts down your frontal cortex. It doesn't get all the signals. Your amygdala and your limbic system. So between emotion and intellect, it gets all cloudy. And if you like that way when you're a kid and growing up with all the stress too,
You're confused
you're
forever.
confused. It's like having like lead.
Permanent confusion.
You get lead poisoning, things like that.
Yeah.
Lead stops the thinking process.
Yeah.
You know, making good judgments and things like that, and growing up. Because most human beings do not become actual adults brain-wise till like 23, 24, 25 years
Right. And in this society here, you know, even from a kid's standpoint, you're in a rush to grow up anyway. You
Yeah,
know?
of course.
And then so you think you're grown, 17, I'm 18 years old, I'm an adult. No.
No, you're not.
You think about, like, I look back on my life and I'm like, wow, I really, you know, there was decisions that I made at a young age because I thought that was like the next thing to do. And
Right.
really, I wasn't ready for all that yet. I wish I made other ones. And, you know, that's just how it is. But, you know, a lot of times we're in a hurry to grow up.
Of course. And if things are working well, if you have a good environment behind you, good support system,
Right.
you know, good diet and rest and all that kind of stuff, you're able to learn from all those bad choices you made. You
Right.
learn from them.
Right.
You know,
That's the key
Instead of
in life.
repeating them and repeating them and
The
repeating
cycle.
them, and listening to other people lead you around like a dog on a leash. You know,
The sheeple.
the sheep was perfect,
Yes.
perfect, Rose. Because people will do that because it's easier to follow
Yeah.
than it is to lead.
To lead, right, of course.
Now, one of my favorite sayings is, I heard this on a TV show.
Okay.
Years and years and years and years ago. One of my favorites. I don't know who wrote it, whatever it is. But they said, like, life is like a dog sled team. Unless you're the lead dog, the scenery never changes.
That's the truth.
Yes.
So it behooves you
To to be the leader of the pack.
Well, no, what he's talking about is, unless you're the lead dog,
You're always gonna get a shitty view.
well, you know what you're looking at, because you know what you're looking at, right?
Yes. I'm putting
Unless you don't want to look at assholes all day, you know,
You
be the
got-
leader, man.
That's it.
I've done that. I've been following assholes.
Yo, I mean, we all have, but we get to a point where we're like, we see the error of our ways and we make better choices. You know, that's the goal of life anyway.
Right,
Like you
Rose.
said, not to get stuck in that cycle.
Yeah, so you get that literally in a lot of cases, and you get that, in terms of sociability. How you follow. And nothing wrong with following people if you like what they're about.
Oh, sure,
their
they're
ideas.
productive, they're elevating. You're learning from them.
Yeah, and some people, like some French philosophers back in the day, I forget their names now, I don't have them down there, like Rousseau, people like that. They would say, like, when you're with people, you agree with what they have to say. You want to learn from them, walk side by side with them, right? Don't let them follow you,
Right.
don't follow them all the time. And don't let somebody follow you too close behind.
Right.
You may get stabbed in the back. So you want to learn, don't lead me. Don't follow me. Walk beside me and be my friend. Look this way, look that way. Cool.
Right.
You learn what you got to learn. Then you want to lead, you lead. But you'll never be able to lead as long as you're following. Because you cannot see the road ahead.
Right.
So you want to do that. That's all part of everything we're talking about right here. That's a resonance too. You find somebody else's bad vibration. You think it's cool, it's happening.
You're vibing on low vibes, and now you're doing low vibe shit, and now we all do different things. It's how much of that do you allow to take up your time,
Right.
your energy, your resources, and what don't, as they say, don't block your blessings. If you're doing low vibe stuff, then you're not allowing the good vibes. You got to raise that vibration for the good things to come in.
Absolutely.
You got to resonate on that higher frequency.
It's a very simple concept to say, like, take right action. So when, all of us don't always do that, obviously.
Oh, right.
But when you think about what you are going to do, and you think to yourself, is this the right thing, like that, you're going to go on the right path. And eventually, as you get older, hopefully, you start to recognize more and more the right action. Like Rusty and I can both tell you, when we were young and we started out in this business, we were as dumb as a doornail. We made mistakes.
dumb.
We made mistakes like you would
You
not.
heard it. You heard it here, man.
Yeah. We made mistakes that you wouldn't believe that cost us
Yeah.
a fortune.
A fortune. I know.
And it's like you just got to shake your head and say, like,
We learn from it.
yeah, I'm not doing
I
that
can't dwell
again.
in the past, right?
I'm not doing that one again.
Right.
That's the key, to learn from it and
Yeah.
not keep repeating, as we say.
Right.
Right.
So if you have good support systems, you learn, you pay attention to the world around you. If you're in school, you pay attention.
Right.
It's hard to pay attention when you're distracted so much by everything that's going on.
Right.
We all know this. Even before the internet. Television, everything else, and friends,
Information overload.
And so now all your vibes are really thrown off.
Yeah.
They're just really thrown
You're
off.
coming from different angles all over the place.
You have to
People,
filter.
places,
You have
things,
to learn to
food,
you have to learn to
music.
filter.
Like, for instance, I'm going to go left field here on you a minute.
Let's do it.
Remember the group, the Beach Boys?
Yeah.
How they got their name?
Go ahead.
Well, one of them's, they were looking for a name. So one of them's mother says, you're on the beach all the time. On the beach. Now, they had a song come out called Good Vibrations, right? They couldn't think of a title for that. The mother again said.
Something obvious and basic, right?
and they had a dog, a pet dog. And she said, see, I don't know what the dog's name was.
Right.
See so-and-so? It feels your vibrations. You got bad vibrations, the dog act crazy. You got good vibrations, the dog act be all right.
And all of a sudden, do.
Good vibrations came from that, because animals do feel the vibes off you. That's
It's
how they
true.
know how you are.
Animals and babies,
It's
kids.
it's not always what you say.
Yeah.
They don't understand too much of that.
No.
It's the vibration behind it.
Yes.
You can say something that's normally sounds positive to you, but if you say it in a negative way,
Dog, I need to. Apparently, I need to work on that. I did that, and I meant it to be positive, and it was taken negatively, and that was not my intention at all. So I got to work on that. Apparently,
Right. It's a vibration, like that guy that does things with dogs, Caesar. His name is.
yeah, I know who you're talking about.
Right. He talks about that all the time. It's a vibration. It's the frequency, the resonance you're sending out to your pet, whether it's a dog, a cat, a horse, chicken, pig, whatever. It's the vibe. They pick it up. That's how they feel. They feel the vibes in the ground.
Right.
All that kind of thing, They feel you.
Well, that's the other thing. We're, as people, we wear clothes, we wear shoes, we walk on carpet.
Right.
We're not grounded. So that affects, it affects our chakras in being grounded and everything. So, that's kind of a deficit to ourself in some ways as well. You need to, keep grounded.
Yes. And without going really super deep with that, when you meditate,
Yeah.
you're grounding yourself in a way where you're realigning, getting the proper energy flow, the right frequency,
Kicking out the foolishness.
because your brain's overloaded,
Right.
your body's overloaded. So when you're breathing in, breathing out slow, it does a magical thing to your brain. Once you're into it every day, not hours a day,
Right.
a couple minutes
Take that moment, chill out.
before you go to sleep. Do that so you don't have crazy dreams.
So what I do, and I do it, people know, I'll walk around with my headset on, pop my headphone in, I'll play a frequency.
Okay.
If I'm like, I'm not really feeling this right now, or something irritated me, or maybe sometimes I like being around people, but I don't, whatever's going on around me, just, I'm not into it right then.
Right.
I'll pop my headphone in, play a tune, play a
Right.
frequency.
What frequency do you use?
Oh, I have a whole playlist.
Oh, you do?
I have my one for elevation. I have my one for healing my
582,
yeah.
Okay.
963, all that.
What,
Things like
okay,
that.
like
Go ahead.
for elevation, what do you use?
Okay, hold on. Let me get on my playlist.
Yeah, let me see something, because I'm interested in this, because, like,
We're going
again,
deep.
Oh, yes.
as Russ will tell you, one of the things is learning to be an engineer and stuff. I had to learn all about the frequencies.
Right.
And when we mix things, right, the interesting thing is if you change the frequency, change like the EQs on a low end, there's a corresponding one on the high end that you have to balance it with. A lot of people don't know that.
Oh, absolutely.
So again, it's the same kind of thing. That's why I'm very interested in what you
That's
were telling
why
me.
the
Yeah.
government
Okay.
programs us with frequencies and tones. And you know what just
Yes.
popped into my head? You remember the tone that used to, now young folks, you don't know about this, the TV used to turn off at a certain point in time.
Yes.
What was that frequency that they would play through the night?
I'm not sure now, but
I'm going to have to look that
it
up.
was there for a reason.
You see what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
For transmission, for TV
Yes.
transmission, at a certain level.
Right.
So they used to play that tone. And they've been knowing about this stuff for years.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
And they know what frequency to use on you.
Oh yeah.
Like you heard recently about people like some of the diplomats in Cuba and over in Europe, they're getting these strange feelings, getting sick and whatnot.
Right.
They think it's microwaves being sent to
Right.
them.
Right.
Well, it's a certain frequency in that microwave. If it goes down lower in an infrasonic zone, lower than 20 cycles
You
per
can't
second,
even hear that,
Right.
right?
you can't hear that. But your body,
But your body,
Your body
can hear
feels
it.
does, yes.
and that can, you feel
Right.
nauseated, you feel confused and dazed. So they don't know who's sending these signals out. But they can come from almost anything. But it can be directed. You see? And they recently had it in Europe, a place in Europe. I can't think of the name of the country. And so they were putting all these illnesses all of a sudden. Came on like, not just one person, the whole office. So what the hell is that?
Right.
So 3-4 years ago, they were talking about it in Cuba, in the American embassy in Cuba. So they're thinking the Cubans are doing something, Russians are doing something, the Chinese are doing something.
Yes.
So they don't know, but people know.
Right.
NASA's been doing research on that ever since the 50s. Resonance about everything, even resonance about the spaceship itself, because it vibrates a certain thing. Make sure everything's running smooth,
Right.
no funny vibrations.
Right.
And for the astronauts later on, that's one reason why I sent them dogs up there. They use them as test subjects about the different frequencies. And
Right. You'd be upset that Fido didn't come home but less so if you know.
Well, they're taking measurements,
Right.
on that
Right, yeah.
to see how the internal organs are working. Now, because
Yeah.
every organ has a vibration
Yeah.
frequency, as I said before. So they test these things so they know how to play it with humans. And entertainment business, like electronic entertainment, like we do in music, from radio, movies, whatever it is, a certain frequency, the sound of a movie, soundtrack,
Soundtrack.
all that, the radio broadcasting, different frequencies. Because if it goes too high or too low, it'll mess with your head. It's at a certain frequency, no matter what station, what station, what frequency it's on. When we play music like Terry was talking about, even certain keys and chords,
Triggers.
a confluence of notes, it can make you sick, sad, or make you jovial. Especially in the purest form of music where there's no singing or rapping.
Right.
Just with the instrumentation, or maybe people humming or something.
Some sort of tonal.
Without the words there. It's like you can feel elated for some reason, don't even know why.
Yeah.
Start thinking good stuff, thinking about former love,
Yeah.
or somebody you hated,
Right.
and things like that. And then certain other phrases of it makes you relax, like you're talking about.
When Rose made a mention of this earlier, quite simply when you said about how the government, right, will say, oh, we'll put this frequency on because we know what we want to do, okay? As Rusty was just explaining, the interesting thing is the classical musicians like Bach and them, like they did this hundreds of years ago. They basically said, well, if you play this type of chord and then this, you can make a person feel like that.
Right.
And we do utilize this whole concept. You know
Right.
what I mean?
To provoke emotion.
To provoke emotion, exactly. The simplest thing for the average person who doesn't know formally about music, they'll know this. If something's in a major key, it sounds happy.
Right.
If something sounds sad, it's a minor key.
Normally.
And that's all you got to know. And it goes from there. And it just gets more detailed and more intricate, but it's basic. That's
That's the
basically it.
basic
Especially
concept.
if most of the piece of music is in a minor key, slow and minor, especially. It gives you that funeral thing. They talked about that years ago. Sometimes it was below 440 cycles, it go down in 300, way down there, in that range. You can hardly hear it, but the low bass tones, there's only a certain amount of bass tones that are legally allowed to be played, even in nightclubs.
You said legally.
Yes.
Yes, because if it's way too low and that's all you hear, or you feel, you get nauseated, get sick,
Yes.
make you lose your mind.
Yes. That's what we were talking about when I was
Legally.
when I was explaining about an explosion. When you're down below 10, that the vibration that it causes
Dangerous.
is a shock to your body in such a fashion that it actually like upsets the molecules of your body, and that's why it'll kill you.
Who's going to regulate? Who regulates that?
Well, what most governments do now, because they understand pretty much that, in terms of radio transmission, which they're working on since the 1920s, since they had radio, what frequency to use on different stations and where that, and the government has their own. Each government does. Most advanced countries do. And they make all these rules among each other. When the UN came into fruition after World War II, they'll have all these treaties and whatnot about regulating frequencies of broadcasting, things like that. And you take it from that level there, right, and go to higher frequencies, can really make people nuts. Your serotonin goes off the charts, high, way above beta, goes into gamma, what they call it, or even epsilon, which is really off the chart. You're really crazy then,
Wow.
if it's way too high. Now, as musicians, we know when a certain treble
I'm
way
sorry.
up there,
I'm just like, this shit
It's
is
like-
cool.
now you can play some rock music where the guitars are like soaring real high.
Yeah.
They only go so high with that too,
Right.
until it gets to the point where you can't hear it, but your brain gets scrambled.
All I hear is
It would drive you nuts. Or feedback.
Oh, yeah,
When
yeah.
you hear that,
Yeah.
oh my God. Well, that's those frequencies that are so far off the charts.
Oh yeah, like how could when the mic squeaks or something?
Yeah, it's like up in the two,
I wouldn't be able to just
up in the 100,000.
People run like, stop that, whatever it is, turn it off.
What actually happens is you take a note, we call it the fundamental, and there's overtone cycles that are above that. And as Rusty's explaining, some of those overtone cycles are very, very high. We don't hear them, but they can affect us in a very, very negative way, like that.
Right.
And it's like piercing.
Yeah, when it gets up into megahertz, okay,
Yeah.
and of course gigahertz, that's like 1 billion cycles a second. That's megahertz. You know, in terms of like when you're talking megahertz, that's like about 1 million cycles per second on a oscilloscope. That's so far up there. You know, you can go higher or lower,
Right.
and that's just in sound. We're not even talking about electrical wavelengths and beats. Regular thump, 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 thump. You add that to those beats with the heavy bass, you put people in a trance.
Right. Well, trance music. Remember when that was
Trance
popular?
And people have been talking, chants and trance for thousands of years.
Right.
Puts
True.
people in a certain groove, certain pattern, and they'll keep repeating and whether it's work, play music like that when people are working.
Railroad.
They work all day long. That's what they thought black people were into when they're working in the cotton fields. But we just doing
right.
that to stay in the groove, you know.
Right.
You work for 20 hours or something like that.
Yeah.
And so the idea of music over the years has evolved, and people learn how to sell things with music, and it gets so complicated and crazy. But it's all still about the frequencies and about the different keys you play in, whether it's a minor chord. If it's too long throughout the whole song or presentation, whatever it is, or somebody who talks way down and with no highs in their voice, no emotion in their voice, they're talking way down.
Monotone.
It makes people like, I'm tired, I'm gonna get out of here, you know. So because that vibe is hitting them so low,
Right.
you know, it's like,
It's not enjoyable.
no, it's not enjoyable. Your brain cells are like, what the fuck's going on?
Right.
Excuse me.
Get me out of here.
Get me
Well,
out of here.
that's what Rose was saying. What she just mentioned, she could say something positive to someone,
Right.
but saying it in
How you say it?
tonally, where it sounds negative.
Right, it's a vibration.
And this is exactly it, because that's how the person's picking it up. A lot of times, they even tell you what you actually hear is because that's what you want to hear. That when you
I
hear
think
people
sometimes
speak
it's because you're programmed or
well,
used to.
Yeah, but it's also what it
Okay.
is
Yeah.
you pick up on the sound 1st, and you're picking up more on the sound. And if you want to, you'll listen to the words. Now, normally speaking, yes, we do listen to the words.
But no, like that's like a song, right?
A song or
so
a commercial.
the beat gets you first, and then sometimes you're into the beat, and sometimes for me with some of this newer music, I'm like I start listening to the word. I'm like this song. Now I'm like, wait, what the hell is this? Well, did you hear what they just said? This song,
Yeah.
what the hell?
Well,
a lot of times, personally, right? I'm not always listening to the words. I'm feeling and hearing the melody.
Right.
Yeah,
And
a
I
lot
can
of musicians
feel,
do.
and I can feel the emotion of the singer, just like I will
I do.
myself or the other musicians when we play. The interesting thing about playing music with other people, right, in a group situation is, as Rusty was saying, the ideal part is when we're all walking together side by side, because the real thing you do is you don't want to get in your own way.
Right.
And the ideal thing, again, is that you listen to each other and you interact. Now, the thing about that is that when you do that, your brain's waves are actually connected. They have actually shown this.
Yeah, you got some telepathy going on
Yeah,
at that
well,
point.
it's the truth.
Because
It's the
you're
truth.
resonating on the same
Yeah,
vibe.
they have actually had psychological studies and hooked people's brains up and saw it.
Yeah. They're in alignment.
Actually saw it. And it's not just the feeling that we get as doing that, but we convey that to the audience.
So I have a question.
Yes.
Musicians right here. Played forever. So if you are you're not in really, sometimes you're not in the mood to play, but you're here for the gig and you got to
Right.
do the job.
Absolutely.
Do you think that comes across in your playing?
It can.
It can.
Oh, yes.
Yep.
Definitely. What a lot of musicians have done, especially entertainment musicians, if you're
You
there,
got a persona.
yeah, you're supposed to get up there and, be positive all the time, be
Right.
nice no matter what's going on.
Right.
And a lot
Hit
of
the
us
stage. Hey, you get up. Fuck this.
We go into the act. It's an act.
right. So you're
it's
in a party atmosphere.
Yeah.
And in the Western world, the party atmosphere means intoxication
Right.
sometimes. Get up on a
We're lit.
get up on a higher vibe through some medications
Right.
of one sort or another.
False induction. What would we call that? False. I don't know, but listen, it's not real high vibes.
No, because they're trying to reach a state where they can
Falsely induced.
they can perform. And when they get used to doing that all the time,
Yeah.
they want it all the time and do
Yeah.
that. They can't even
Becomes a habit.
they can't create, or sometimes they blow it creatively.
Yeah.
Or it can enhance it.
Yeah.
It can enhance creativity. But it can get it so far out of control that average person can't keep up with it.
Mm-hmm.
They're so far out there, you know.
Yeah.
And some guys want to feel that way all the time. Like some
Right.
guys in jazz, sometimes guys in rock,
Yeah.
like that. They would feel that so much. The drug is taking them another place,
Right.
and then it's like they can do all kind of amazing things, but they can't maintain it all the time.
Right.
When they come down from that, they're just like a brain full of jelly.
And then the other part of that is sometimes these drugs will create, like when they're coming down off of it, or
Right.
once they've come off of it, this crazy monster, uncontrollable psyche.
Yeah, the real thing is like, I know this sounds corny, but moderation. You have to know, like, what you want to do, how much you can do. But,
Yeah.
And the worst part is, like Rusty is saying, you get this high from playing, and people think they want to maintain that. The thing that people have to really realize, a lot of musicians don't ever get this, and this is why you see so many people dying and this, that, and the other thing is that the way, I guess in certain ways, that maybe we have survived to the age that we have at this point.
A young 25.
Yes, you got it.
Because I was afraid. I was scared.
Yeah, right, exactly.
I'm surprised you traveled the world and did the things you did. You know,
Oh, my goodness.
Well,
yeah,
you know,
right.
The thing is this though. You have to start to, at some point, recognize this is a job,
Yeah.
and you ask the ultimate question, and this is something we really don't want to tell the public. Okay, it's an act.
It
When
is
I
an
go
act.
out on stage, whether I feel good or I don't feel good,
You're an
the
entertainer.
light bulb goes off in my head
That part,
and
yeah.
says it's showtime.
Right.
And when it's showtime, I'm going to give it up
Yep.
as best as
Yeah.
I can. And my brain might be saying, I got to go to the bathroom. I hope we take a break soon. But you'll never know that.
That happens a lot. That happens a
You'll
lot.
never know that.
That's why you be twitching and turning.
Yeah.
That's where you got all those good moves.
Oh, yeah.
Gotta go to the bathroom.
Now you know. I shouldn't have said that. I gave it away.
Or take
I
my,
gave it away.
take my guitar and
But-
hold it closer to me.
Yep. I'm shaking like this, and they're going like, "Wow,
Yeah.
man, he looks so cool." And I'm thinking, "Man, I gotta go to the bathroom." You know?
Yeah, but
Hopping on one leg and everything.
yeah, yeah, I believe it.
You know, a lot of things were humans.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll tell you something honestly. I have been playing because we used to play in the old days. Russell will tell you, like 4 sets a night, and you're doing like really 30.
I don't even
songs.
want to think about that anymore.
Oh,
Yeah,
I know,
that was-
but you'll see what I'm saying. It's 30 or 40 songs.
That's too much vibes.
And
Yeah.
we play
Too much
Oh,
vibes.
it is.
De-energized.
Oh man,
That's slavery.
Information overload.
That's slavery.
And you know why I'm saying this?
Yeah.
I have been in the middle of playing a song and actually forgot what song I was playing.
You were in the zone and
Yeah.
you popped out. That's what
It's
happened.
just like, because we're playing like 30-something songs, and all of a sudden we're playing, and I'm in the middle of actually playing the thing, and I look at my hands, I'm thinking like,
I don't even know what the hell's next.
what song are we playing?
yeah, that's when you're
I
freestyling.
freaked out. It's just like,
Yeah,
what
you're just
song am I
freestyling
playing? Yeah.
in
Or
the
you're
zone.
freestyling on stage without music in front of you, not following the
Right,
pattern.
yeah,
there.
yeah.
But a lot of times, going back to what we were talking about, you can get high with a drink or whatever it is, get super happy, and play things and be very creative.
Too much is too
It's
much.
just
though.
too much is too much, depending on where you are and what you're doing and who you're playing for. There's some people who like that.
Yeah, yeah.
They want you to go off like John McLaughlin on
Right.
guitar, and Jimi Hendrix and people like that. They want you
Depends
to
the context.
go way out
Yeah.
there, where they're coming from.
Right.
And it works in those kind of things because they're with that. They want to be free.
Yeah,
They wanna
context.
free their minds. And sometimes,
All right, Woodstock.
and sometimes the more, and the more they want to do more in terms of music, be it a piano, guitar, horn, singing, whatever it is, they may need that little extra help to get to that point, that alpha point,
Yeah.
the epsilon point. Where it's almost it's nirvana.
Right, Nirvana.
They want to get to that point like that, like with the Beatles, and whatnot, with George Harrison and all those guys. They were experimenting with that to get there. Because they're-
Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds.
yeah, because yeah, hello. Because their physical bodies can only go so far without
Right.
it being a negative effect on your physical body. They know this, but they're trying to get their brain beyond the physical. Their mind, their consciousness, they want to call it, which is a raging controversy right now. What is consciousness among neuroscientists, the scientific world? What is consciousness? They're going back and forth between philosophers and scientists with the brain. There's so much more to learn about the brain, the human brain, any mammal's brain, any animal with a backbone, and that kind of nervous system. So a vertebrae, vertebrae animal. So they want to know this because the brain is different from, let's say, a reptile,
Right.
like that, or amphibian. The brains are smaller, and theirs is more or less that part of the brain, sort of like what we have cerebellum, the lower part of your brain. That's like the older part of your brain. They were calling it the reptile brain years ago. A researcher did, just to use that term. It's like fight or flight all the time. Eat, kill, live, eat, kill. You know, like
Basic
that.
responses.
There's nothing in between that. More complicated.
But when you think of development as a fetus in your, your spine, and then that, like you said, that's the first
That's the
part
first
that
part.
develops, and that's what's necessary to survive.
Right.
Nutrients.
Right. It's just all very basic, right there. Things for life. You know, somewhere along the line, it's way out there. You're talking about,
Cosmic stuff.
not only cosmic stuff, it's just evolution and whatnot.
Right.
Through everything.
Evolution?
On this planet, this planet is like one of the worlds it's a recycling process.
Yeah.
Everything gets-
And then that's even questionable and controversial
That's
as
controversial
well.
too. But like when things die,
That's
we're
normal,
talking about meat being rotten.
Right.
Well, all those molecules get recycled. And the cellular material, organic material, gets back either to the earth or back into microbes or back into insects or back into microbes again. And the atoms also get messed around and change over. Sometimes those molecules get like transmuted into other molecules, depending on the compounds. And you're going back into atoms. Like carbon atoms here are the main thing here on Earth for life, especially carbon-12 atom. You got carbon-12, carbon-13, carbon-14, and a few others. Those kind of atoms and elements, because the carbon-12 atom has 6 neutrons, 6 protons, and 6 electrons. With
666, folks.
and that's been around. That's been around too, up and down the internet. Say, it's the devil's mark, or it's the mark of man, right? Well, maybe some people a long time ago thought this is the mark of life on the planet, which it is, carbon-12. It makes for long chain molecules which are durable in your chromosomes. Okay, so you get your amino acids there from that as a compound part of the elements of carbon-12. Okay, amino acids means what? Out of that comes proteins. That's the building blocks of life they talk about. Then you have starches, right? That's the sugars, natural sugars, not the processed stuff they sell. Okay, then you have lipids,
The fats.
fatty acids. You need the fatty acids. You got
That's good for your brain and all that good stuff.
like omega-3s,
Yep.
omega-6, omega-9s, and some other ones. But the omega-3 and omega-6 are most important, but you need more omega-3 than more omega-6. And these come off those chains of molecules in your chromosomes and whatnot. But the carbon-12 atom on this planet, on this chemical environment of this planet, is makeup. You have that all going on there. With that carbon, it bonds very well with other atoms and elements. Carbon-12, along with its 4 electrons, able to bond with other atoms. Those 4 electrons on the outside of that carbon-12 atom bonds well with hydrogen atoms, okay, and also oxygen and nitrogen.
So all the things we need to sustain life.
Right, and then there's phosphorus, and then there's sulfur. If it goes, they bond real well to form those long, stable chains of molecules, which can withstand a lot of thermal temperatures, heat and cold. Where you have other bonding of atoms, like iron atoms, when they bond with shall we say there's so many things, silicon, for instance, like that, or with nitrogen, they'll break apart easy.
It's a weak bond.
That's why you see iron rust easy, falls apart. Those molecules,
Oxide.
the oxide, and it comes apart because they're not bonded tight. A carbon atom that's bonded with other carbons, hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, sulfur, like that, they bond stronger. That's why life can survive here in most environments, whether you're human, a dog, a cat, a fish, a horse, a reptile, bird, no matter what.
Living
bacteria. Life is here. That's what they look for when they go to other planets and stuff. They're looking for, of course, hydrogen, for water, and oxygen and whatnot, and look for that carbon-12. That can tell them what kind of higher forms of life can come out of that. They get
That's
the
what I
basics of
wanted to
life.
ask.
They get the basics of life from the water, from the hydrogen-oxygen mixture, H2O. If you add nitrogen with it, like that.
That's what I want to ask you. as you were saying that I was really starting to think that when they say like they're going to Mars and they're going to like to any other place and they're looking for signs of life, apparently what you're telling me is the first thing they're looking for then is the carbon-12s to see if
And water.
and water, of course, yes. But the idea of that and the carbon-12 to see if there's a possibility of any life existing, because without that, then you're not going to find anything.
And a magnetic field. Either coming from in the planet, or world, whatever it is, or even around it. Like here on this place, we're shielded from electromagnetic radiation from the sun through the Earth's magnetic field.
Right.
Going up to the stratosphere, biosphere, all that, up there like that, 300 miles up or so. You get shielded from that. Otherwise, we'd be cooked to death down here. Ultraviolet light comes in, gamma rays come in.
That's the
It
ozone.
would be
They
no life
consider the ozone,
Yes.
or
Ozone-
up in that area.
Well, you need a certain ozone layer that also blocks.
That blocks the ultraviolet rays.
That blocks. too
Boy,
much-
I'm telling you, it does
Right.
not.
Well, here's
well, it doesn't.
As a light-skinned sister, I tell you, it does not.
It doesn't block all the ultraviolet.
Well,
it blocks the gamma rays.
Yeah.
Here's an interesting concept, though, okay, that a lot of the scientists are starting to think. They're starting to think that there was life on Mars. Okay, now, when I say this, I think people on this planet should pay attention to this. What they feel was Mars's ozone layer was burned off. And therefore life could no longer be
Longer
sustained.
exist.
You see, as Rusty's saying, one, the heat element, the gamma rays, people are going to die from cancer, nothing will be able to grow. But the other thing you have to realize when you talk about atmosphere, right? If this was just a rock in space, okay, and we had no magnetic field, we had no atmosphere, you would basically just float away. Because that's what holds us down. What we call gravity is what holds us down.
Right.
People wonder, like, when we take our weight is based on gravity, because when you go to a different planet where there's less gravity, you weigh less. You will go to one that's more gravity, you'll weigh more.
Right.
So that's, again, a relative
Term,
measurement.
right?
Yeah, it's a relative term and a relative measurement. But the idea being, again, is that we have to protect that ozone layer, because if it goes away, we could end up looking like Mars. And that's where the public should probably pay a little more attention to when they think about this, global warming, when the scientists talk about the dangers of it and why. That's why.
That's what they should tell people.
Well, they have.
Well,
I don't know. I've never heard it explained just like
well,
that.
it's more or less voluntary to learn about this. You go to college, you can take a
of
course in it
course,
if you
of course.
choose to. They don't say like kids need to learn it at school.
Right.
Unless you have an interest in it or something like that. Take it further, because but there's more information out here now more than ever before.
There's so much,
right?
and it's at your fingertips.
Right now.
Triple OG Rusty.
Hello.
We have a few minutes left before we wrap up.
Okay.
What is your final thought today, sir?
My final thought. Hold your molecules together.
Keep your composure.
There you go.
That's another way to keep your composure.
Hold your molecules together. Keep yourself healthy foods. If you're going to eat.
Get it right, keep it tight.
Get it right, keep it tight. If you get it loose now, all your molecules go this way and that way.
Yeah.
It's called entropy, and they go everywhere.
Right.
You don't want that. You want to hold your ass tight. And don't
Yes.
follow nobody, like we said before.
Right. Be a leader, because you don't want to stare at someone else's butthole.
But if you really want to learn something about resonance, you can look online. Just look up harmonic resonance. Things will pop up. It will blow your mind how much people know about this. What can kill you, what cannot kill you.
Right.
Okay? 7 cycles.
Check out some good vibe music. There are people that are conscious of making higher vibrational music. One, for example, that we play here at Glockaware is Chuji. She has a project out. I'll post it. I don't remember it off the top of my head, but maybe we can play one of those songs on the way out. She makes higher vibrational music, and some of those hertz are 852, 741, 639. We're going down the scale, but the higher you go, it changes and helps manifest different things within your structure. So, like I was talking about earlier, I do 174 for some pain relief sometimes.
Oh,
yeah. So, listen. You gotta keep your molecules together, Rusty.
That's good stuff right there.
Yeah.
That does it. Make it quick. We got to roll.
Yep.
The frequencies you were calling off, right?
Yeah.
174. Okay, that's a high mid-range.
Mm-hmm.
What it does when I adjust that is with the bass sounds, it brings clarity to them. Okay, the ranges of 6 to 8 you're talking about are basically where you wanted to dial in guitars a lot of time. That gives us the warmth.
Okay.
Okay.
That feel good.
Yeah.
Women like that.
Yeah.
That's why women
That's
like
Yeah,
that.
women like that.
That
Women
gets
like
the
that.
hips
Kind of tone.
moving.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
The shoulders
Women
and the
like
hips
that.
That kind of
moving.
R&B thing.
Uh-huh.
They like that when you're playing stuff like in the middle part, like the strings and stuff. And it's like kind of like bend the notes just a little bit to get them sexy. Women love that stuff. Let me tell you.
Women have different vibes than men. In terms
Oh,
of-
that's a whole nother show.
in terms of-
Yeah, that's another show.
They're from Mars and Venus, right?
That's another
well, that's what it is.
That's another show altogether. Yeah.
Your resonant frequency
Yeah.
for women
Yeah.
is a different vibe. Men's usually like, women's like, they want a certain vibe. And also in that sound, that tone. That's why those kind of songs work
Do we?
for women.
One last question. Do we ever meet in the middle,
Well,
or is it only on horizontal
Yes.
planes?
Yeah.
We do meet in the middle, and that's when trouble starts.
That's why I said, is it only on horizontal planes that we meet in the middle? I'll just,
Well, the one thing to try to wrap up from and say is just love everybody.
Yes, absolutely. Thanks.
Almost everybody. Some people I don't.
Almost
Some people you have
everybody.
to love from a distance, and that's okay.
Yes.
I like that from a
Yes.
distance.
You've tuned into another episode of the X Radio. Thanks for coming by, Terry, Rusty. Check out all the other episodes available. And you know what? It's already the start of a new month next week, and we'll be back
Yes.
with Chick with the Juice.
Oh.
Juice.
Hey, all right.
So check out all the other episodes as well. Go to YouTube, type in Glockaware, and hit the live link, or check out all the past shows. Until next time, peace.
Thank you, Rose.
Thank you, Rose.
Absolutely.
Rose, you're amazing.